with two friends. I am just so excited to not only see their faces, but hear their stories. I am here with the legendary, one and only, incredible, who has joined me before, Rudy Sarzo. Everybody knows him, the bass man, the bass legend, and the very talented and beautiful Regina Banali, the widow of the legendary Frankie Banali. So welcome both of you to WDHA's Reconnect with Rockers. I am so happy to have both of you on and talk about this incredible new yet not new Quiet Riot song, which when I first heard it, I thought this is one of the best Quiet Riot songs that I've actually ever heard. It's called I Can't Hold On, and I wanted both of you in for a reason. I'm going to start with Rudy. Now, Rudy, when you found out that there was this Quiet Riot sort of lost song that I guess Alex Grossi, who was in Quiet Riot, found on an iPod somewhere and said, oh my gosh, yeah, this song was existing and it's got Kevin's vocals on it. And Rudy, when you found out about this, where were you and what did you think? And when did you first hear this song?
Well, it was part of the process of me returning back to Quiet Riot. And then, once you make a commitment and you're in the band, the guys, we start talking about, hey, do we have any new music just in case, we feel like putting out something in the future. And so I started looking through my old stuff that I have been working on. And so did Alex. And that's how he came upon that song. That's what he told me, because I wasn't there when he came upon it. But so yeah, he was searching for material for me to listen to, and he found that. And obviously, it was recorded pre 2007 because that's when Kevin passed away. And so I have been sitting in various devices like computers and iPods, and they kept getting transferred from one place to the other. So he found it and he goes, oh, check this out. So when he sent it, when I heard it for the first time, Frankie's drums were there, the vocals and the guitars. So I listened to it. As I'm listening to it, as a matter of fact, it's depicted in the video. Regina captured the moment that I'm listening to it for the first time in the dining room. And I'm listening to it, and as I'm listening to it, you have a million thoughts. You go like, wow, this not only is this a great song, but it's a great performance by Kevin and Frankie. And then I start thinking of parts. I started playing with Frankie 50 years ago, immediately after we met on my birthday, November 18th in 1972. So he mentored me, and in rhythm, becoming a part of the rhythm section, because before that I was just playing in party bands in Miami, and here I am in Fort Lauderdale, which is the American side of South Florida, hanging with the Americanos, and Frankie was really deep into the roots of British metal, or rock, at the time, and which is completely removed from the more Santana and Motown playlists and top 40 playlists that we had to play in order to get gigs in the Miami-Dade County area. So I imagine, from playing with Frankie all this time, what could be a cool bass line that everybody would like agree on? It's like, yeah, that's it. And so, with Kevin, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to shadow in my bass line a little bit of Kevin's melodies, because not only are they cool, but I want to create that bond in the song. And I treat it very differently than any other song that I've ever recorded, either for the Mental Health record or Condition Critical, because after all, we're not bound to what the 80s are all about. But then again, I wanted to retain some of the fundamental elements that make Quiet Riot Quiet Riot. So it is a bit of a departure, and I agree with you. I think it's one of the best. I think it's Kevin's best vocal.
Yeah. I couldn't believe when I heard the song. Yeah, I was blown away. And of course, hearing the song, I got a WAV file. I think Robert, our friend Robert England, sent me the song, and I'd heard that this song was out there for a while, because I think Robert was like kind of gossiping with me, like there's a Quiet Riot song that's out there and it's coming. And I heard the song. And then when I saw Regina's part to it, now let me, for those of you who may not know, let me set up Regina a little bit. Regina is a producer. Regina is a director. I am very awed by her talent because when I first met you at WDHA with Frankie, I was as big a fan of yours as I was of Frankie's because I love your documentary about the band. Well, Now You're Here, There's No Way Back. I think it is one of the finest documentaries, rock documentaries ever to come out. And the reason I love it so much, Regina, is because it captures everything. And there is everything in a band. There are funny parts to being in a band. There are poignant parts to being in a band. There are sad parts to being in a band. There are parts to being in a band that piss the other band members off. You absolutely just encompassed everything. So now you and Frankie, did you meet while you were putting this documentary together? Were you with Frankie before that? Talk to me a little bit about that.
We were dating for a year. And when I first met him, he said that he was retired and that Quiet Riot was no more. And so I was just dating a retired guy for a year. And I come from film and television. I had always wanted to make a documentary. Ever since I saw Roger and Me, I just felt like I can speak this language and I'm dying to make a documentary, but I don't know about what. And then he started itching to play again and started kind of feeling like, well, I want to play again, but I can't start a new band, or like I am like this is what I do. And he came to the conclusion, he told me that he wanted to put the band back together and he wanted to meet with Kevin's mother to get her permission. So when he said that, I jokingly quipped like, oh my God, you're going to go meet with your dead singer's mother to get her permission to go on with the band. This sounds like some documentary on the Sundance Channel. Oh my God, can I make a documentary? And like I said it as I was joking. And he said, okay. And neither of us, and I didn't know how long that would go on for. I thought like, okay, so I'll film like 3 or 4 months and then edit it together and I knew he had all this amazing archive footage. And I didn't realize that the story would only just start right then. And
yes, the twists and turns, the whole story unfolds while you're watching it. It's not a history of the band per se. There's some of that, but it's sort of like this following the band's legacy and seeing, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about and why I wanted you here, seeing Frankie's passion for keeping the legacy of what was in his heart for this band together. And we have all, regardless of what we do in life, we all have a passion for something where that thing becomes the thing that is the most important thing for us to keep together. And I think that you captured that so incredibly well in this documentary that's why it is so relatable. And every time I mention it to anybody, they go, oh my God, I love that documentary so much. I mean, you can buy it, you can rent it now. Please, if you have not seen it, you will love it. You will be riveted. But the twists and turns that happen, you probably did not even expect any of these while you were putting this together.
No, I thought, okay, we'll get the new singer together and then he'll have a great show and that'll be the end of the movie and then we'll be done and then I can edit it together. And it was like, and then that train wrecked and then I was like, okay, well, I need to follow it to there. And then that was led to another turn and then it was just like it ended up being like 5 years of
it was crazy, just crazy. And I want to also talk about I talked to Rudy a little bit about this before you actually zoomed in. Your relationship with Frankie was so incredibly special. You just had this synergy that I picked up on when I had you guys at the station. Frankie was at a convention and he was coming in to be on the show. And you guys we had this great animal connection. The three of us all have that where we're very big into rescue and helping animals. And, but there was this mutual admiration and respect that I don't often see in couples or friends or family members that you and Frankie had together. And I just thought it was so incredibly special. So when I heard that he was sick and I heard about his passing, I said, damn, this was like such a great couple. They had such this incredible synergy. So talk to me a little bit about that with him, because it was something that you don't often see. Yeah, I'm choked up just thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
No, it's okay. I feel it too.
Yeah, he was my partner in every sense, and we were inseparable, and we did everything together, and we were partners in every way. And I'm really glad that we spent every single moment together, because we were on limited time that we didn't know, you know. So
Yeah.
he'll always be the love of my life, and he changed my life in every way. And I'm so grateful that I had that with him.
Yeah. He was a very special person. A very, you know, when he passed,
He
you know,
was,
the tributes that came through
yes,
from people, whether it was on MTV Classic, which, you know, sometimes these places forget about rockers. They just forget about it. It's just, you know, they just forget about it. They didn't forget about Frankie. Stadium tour, you know, on the
yeah,
anniversary of his passing, seeing, you know, Ricky Rocket talk about him and have that, you know,
yeah,
rockers reacting to him. You know, he left behind such a legacy, not only from a talent perspective, but look, I mean, Rudy, you were part of this, you know, Quiet Riot, the band that changed everything. They led a revolution that they never get the credit for,
yes,
of an
yes.
entire, not just, you know, getting heavy metal bands played on MTV, which if you didn't get played on MTV at the time was nothing, or on rock radio constantly, but an entire lifestyle that lasted for a decade for people, you know,
Yeah.
me included. I was
Yeah.
part of that. I was part of that whole lifestyle and that whole scene.
Yeah.
So, you know, seeing, you know, the love that people still feel for him is incredible. So Rudy, so when you have to now put parts on I Can't Hold On and you go into a studio, what do you feel? Is there some kind of magic with feeling a presence of Kevin and of Frankie in the studio with you that sort of helped to propel you into putting these bass parts down?
Yeah, I actually, you know, most of us musicians, we have, you know, we put our own studio in our home, which is, you know, basically in this room that I'm in, this is where I recorded it, and I got my basses right next to me and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the imagery, but
Well,
that's not where,
you used the bass that Frankie gave you when he told
yeah,
you
yeah,
he had
Wow.
cancer.
but it's safely stored away. It's a
It's not here
priceless
for the
instrument.
Zoom. It's not here for the
Yeah,
Zoom.
it's not right next to me right
Right.
here. It's in a very safe, you know, guarded place, you know. And you know, so what happens is, okay, even though physically I'm in this room, consciousness, I am not. Consciousness, I put myself back because I believe, you know, it's always now. So now I'm back in 1982, 40 years ago, when I went in to record Thunderbird as a request by Kevin for a possible record that might come out. No name, no label, no nothing. They were just cutting demos that turned into masters over at Pasha Studios. I was still a member of Ozzy Osbourne. And the song Thunderbird was a song that I used to play with Kevin. I was in his band, Dubrow, right before I joined Ozzy. I was living with Kevin. So, you know, I knew the song, you know, that was my bass line. And 10 years prior to me going in for that session, I had been playing with Frankie. And this happened almost around my birthday. So it was about, you know, the cycle had turned 10 years later after meeting. Here I am in the studio, finally recording with Frankie because we have been, you know, we left Florida pretty much together. We played in the circuit in the Chicago area back in the 70s. And then we moved to LA. We lived together in LA. And so we spent a lot of time together trying to keep us together as a rhythm section. So finally, we're here, you know. And I got to tell you, I lost the joy of making music after Randy Rhoads died. You know, my Quiet Riot family, my Quiet Riot brother was gone, not there anymore, you know. But when I went back in the studio with at Pasha, there is Frankie, my family for 10 years. And there's Kevin, my family, since I joined Quiet Riot in 78. And I lived with him and played with him and Quiet Riot and Dubrow. So it was that joy of making music again. And that's what I brought that's where I was at when I recorded that track.
Yeah. Now, Regina, so you bring the track to life, really, because you decide, you know what, I'm gonna help put this video together and work on the video. And there are a lot of moments in this video that are really raw and very exposing.
Mhm.
And there are really, uplifting, incredible moments. And then there are moments where you really see the struggle that both of you went through, not just Frankie, but the two of you went through. Why did you decide that this was an important part of telling the story for the song? I mean, everything just fits, the boxes all check so perfectly, but why was this an important part to tell about Frankie's story?
Well, I felt like the lyrics of the song, for one thing, connected in that way. And that this was their last, both Frankie and Kevin, this was like their probably their last song, unless we dig up any more, which I'm not ruling out, I don't know. But it's likely their last song. And I wanted to pay tribute to both of them, and also uh I knew I wanted to tell a raw story of what we went through, and I didn't know if I was going to make a little documentary or a mini doc or something, but then I thought, like, we should just we should pay tribute to both of our lost members and tell this story, which sets up the third act of the video, which is telling the story of how we made this song. Which we found the iPod, we took it off the iPod, we took it apart in the Pro Tools
The
session.
iPod is there. The iPod's in the video. It's really, really cool.
We tried to see if we could put a drum track on it and doctor it around and see if it would work, which we didn't know if that would work. That was an experiment. Can we find a drum track of Frankie's and Frankenstein this together? And it did work. And then we played it for Rudy, and we gave it to Rudy, and then Rudy gave us a track, and then we fine-tuned it in the studio, and then we put backup singers, and which I didn't get footage of that, but then, I played the tambourine on it because Alex came up with the idea of, like,
Yeah,
there
there
should be a
you are.
tambourine here.
Yeah.
So I was like, a tambourine, that's one thing I can do. So it was like the whole family came together to pitch in and make this happen. So it was really a labor of love for the whole family. And I wanted to just represent that, and just, instead of making some pretty video, I wanted to just make a raw story and tell the story of how the whole family came together to make this.
Yeah, yeah. And now, Regina, when you see the band now holding on and going out and carrying on the Quiet Riot legacy, and knowing how important that was to Frankie, which we saw how important that was to him in the documentary, how does that make you feel?
Well, he left me in charge of part of that, and I'm carrying on his wishes. I know that he wanted this to continue, and we discussed it, and he loved Johnny Kelly. He wanted him to take his spot, and he wanted Rudy to come back. We talked about that beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's all coming together because everyone wants it to happen. The band wants it to happen. The people want to come. Everybody wants it. So we're waving that flag. And my part of my goal going forward is to be a steward for the legacy of what I can do to make sure that flag waves and that it doesn't get put down like that. It stays waving.
I love that. I love that. Rudy, so what has it been like for you guys out on the road? I know 2023, you guys are going to continue to be out on the road and continue to carry, to carry that Quiet Riot legacy on. What has that felt like for you being back doing it?
Well, I mean, talking about 2023, I mean, not many people get the opportunity to actually tour and celebrate. First of all, the first debut metal album to go to #1. 40 years.
Game changer. Just celebrated the 40th anniversary. Game changer for everything in music. No question about it.
So we're celebrating that next year. If Quiet Riot could play every single night of 2023, it would not be enough for me to really celebrate the legacy, the memory, of Frankie and Kevin. And I like to include there Randy because, you know, I was there with him also back then, and he was integral in me becoming who I am today as a musician, not just as a musician, but a person who found, you know, how to have musical integrity, which is what he showed me, musical integrity.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm very grateful for that. But as far as mental health, and actually mental health in the back of the record, you can spin it and look at it that it says dedicated to the memory of Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
So he's
yeah.
very attached to that record, you know. And he, you know, so if I could just every night go up on stage and celebrate mental health, I would. So we'll see how close we get to that.
Yay. Yay. And I love the track. And as Regina said, when she said, you know, I don't know, there might be more tracks. Who knows? We just don't know. I certainly hope that there are. I certainly hope that there are.
As I understood, and I want Regina to confirm this, because I've seen footage of actually Frankie by himself in the studio recording multiple drum tracks to songs, you know, because Frankie not only played with Quiet Riot and also with Wasp, the Hughes Throw record, he played with Billy Idol on tracks. So he was a consummate studio drummer in addition to being on stage, to being a rock star. He knew that. That's one of the strongest things that Frankie brought into the band, his way that he could take pieces of songs and arrange them into a song. So when he laid down those tracks, as I saw some footage of it, he was thinking, okay, this is the verse, and this is the B section, and this is the chorus. I'm going to play like this. This is the outro. Here's the solo. So he was preparing somehow to leave behind tracks that music could be aligned in sync to or written to his drum tracks.
I do have a vast body of drum tracks of Frankie's. So, and now that we've tried it out on this one song, I know for sure that I would probably be able to put a Frankie drum track on any type of song.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Endlessly.
Oh, wow. What a great homage to a fantastic artist. And Regina, you are carrying on the legacy. I Can't Hold On is the song. Two of my favorite people. I have such great respect for both of you, and it's always a pleasure to see your faces and hear your voices. And I thank you so much for joining me. It's just been a pleasure, and I love you both so much.
Thank you for having me.
DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Dover Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram on Route 46 in Rockaway.